Hey YouTube, I'm tackling the transom on my boat and I'm taking you along with me. I'm going to show you how bad this transom was and what to look for on your own boat. And I'm going to show you step by step how I restored it using composite materials that never rot, so you never have to replace it again.
Right, so we took the rub rail off. Now we're going to take off the screws that hold the cap to the bottom of the hole. So this is going to loosen up the cap. Clamp it down. Well, this side's already loose. Now we got to do is make a cut. We're going to make a cut here on the cap as inconspicuous as we can. So it's going to be a thin little line like this. When we're done and we put this all back together, we'll have a line here of no non-skip. So let's start cutting. We're gonna have to take off the scuppers. We have to get rid of all this foam that's folding all this together. I don't want so many people inside the boat at the same time. So we took out all the foam. The cap is off, and now we're going to continue to cut the floor off to the back. This should be an easy fix. I'm going to try to cut it, get an exact template of it. Now let's cut it up. So far what I've done is I've come in with my oscillating tool, made my cut all the way around, and this wood is not rotted, so it's a little bit harder to take the material out, so it's going to be tough. So yeah, let's get to work. I'm actually using this big chisel right now. See it separating, and you can see how I'm just separating this piece of wood from the skin. It's all wet. This impact hammer was amazing in getting the big chunks out. You just use it just like this, but this will poke through, so you got to be careful. All right, we ground everything back a few inches this way and all along here. As you can see, this glass is very, very thin. Very, very thin. It's paper thin, and in some spots you could see through. Here's a better look. I washed everything down, trying to get the dust off. That's a better look at the transom all ground down. All right, we're ready to laminate the inside of the transom on the skiff. In order to make our lives easier, we're going to be making a template out of this area. With the template, we're going to be able to cut out all the fiberglass sheets that we need for this. We're going to be able to cut out the K-cell composite board. So what I've done is I cut out some strips of cardboard, and we're just going to lay them up, and then we're going to super glue them together. You want to use a glue gun. I don't have one, so we're going to use some super glue to stick those together, and we'll go cutting them as we go. Yep. All right, we're going to cut out our first layer of mat. You want a long table like this to lay everything out. All right, then we're going to get our template. We're going to lay it on here. And this is just your regular CSM chop strand mat. I'm gonna go out and mark it now with a marker, and then we'll cut it out. Now we gotta cut this, so I recommend a good pair of scissors, or if you wanna save your fingers on a project like this, get yourself an electric scissor like these. This one's excellent. It's battery powered, comes with 2 blades. You'll get this off Amazon, and I'll put the link in the description below so you guys can check it out. It just makes things so much easier, so check this out. I'm trying to do this with one hand. I mean, look at this. We're gonna mark this bow towards the bow, like a glove. Perfect. That's a fresh layer of mat. Now we need to cut out a piece of 1708 because I wanna beef up that transom a little bit. Let's roll out this 1708. So yeah, this is the structural fiberglass, and you guys are looking for supplies for your boat, any type of boat projects, FGCI. The link is in the description below. Use the discount code PFB10 for 10% off your next order. Those guys are the best. at anything fiberglass. They provide you with all the stuff that you need. And I've been using them on all my projects from my Grady White, and now I'm partnered with them, and I couldn't be happier with their products. They just make an amazing product. So we'll come back with our stencil. As minimal material waste as possible. And I'm doing it this way because we want to lay this matte part. The 1708 has a matte part on the bottom, and that's what we're going to lay up against the transom. And let's go test fit. Before we do any type of lamination, we need to come in here with some acetone and just wipe everything nice and clean, so we get a good mechanical bond between the resin, the matte, and then the 1708. And then we can start laminating, and we'll talk about that now. We're getting ready to laminate, so we're going to need a couple things. Your resin, I got 16 ounces of isophthalic resin. That's what I have right now, and that's going to work perfect for this. You need a roller, a 3-inch brush, stir stick. We're going to need a roller like this. You're also going to need one of these like bubble buster. These are great for rolling out the air that's trapped inside the fiberglass, and I'll show you how to use that thing. There's different versions and different sizes. And then you're going to also want some PPE. You want to protect your eyes with this stuff. You don't want this resin to be getting in your eyes. It's really bad for you. Ask me how I know. What we're going to do first, we're going to add our catalyst, our MEK. We're going to mix at, it's a little chilly today, so chilly for South Florida. It's about 60 some degrees, so we're going to do this at 1.5%, which comes out to 14 cc's. Get yourself one of these. Mix that up, stir that up. We're probably going to need more than this for this job, but you might also want to consider wearing some, a respirator. But we got a nice breeze out, but you should wear one. I want to hot coat the transom, so we're just going to get this nice and soaked. There's still some dry fiberglass that's in here that can soak some of that extra resin up. Really, you want a pan. I don't have a pan to put this stuff on, so that's all right. And we're going to lay this guy in here. So now let's come in here. Like I said, we're probably going to need more resin than this. You want to start rolling that stuff in. Yeah, we're going to need some more resin than this. And we're going to need more than 16 ounces for this. I'm going to do 32 ounces because that mat took a little bit more than 16 ounces. This 1708 soaks up a ton of resin, so make sure you got enough on hand. The great thing about laying it out like this is you can use your hands to really smooth out the glass, really get out any of the air bubbles. And the trick is to really soak that glass much easier than laying it on here and then trying to wet it. As you can see, there's no dry spots. So now all we got to do is we got to come with our roller and come in here. See these little bubbles? I'm going to push those out. You'll see them come out. You don't have to squeeze so hard. You just got to lightly put some pressure with your finger and they'll come up. Yeah. Boop. You can have somebody helping you. That's the best, because when it's too hot, this stuff kicks off so fast. You might not have time to get all the bubbles out. It might kick on you. Well, luckily, we've had some good weather here for the last couple of days, so this cool weather is great for working on the boat. Man, very little to no air bubbles. All right, so this is the finished layup. Pretty proud of it. Did a pretty good job. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna do this particular transom with the K-cell composite board. We're gonna use 2 3/4-inch pieces, right? We could probably get away with just one 4x8 K-cell board. We're gonna cut that in half and sandwich 2 pieces together to fill in this gap here. And then we're gonna laminate that to the hole and to the hole sides. And that's how we're gonna do this transom. All right, now we gotta find a flat space to put this on because this is not flat, so I don't want to bow in it. And we're gonna put some weight on top of it. So let's go do that. This thing's been laid up for about 2 days, 3 days, and we're gonna do a dry fit. All right, we got everything nice and sanded and even on the sides. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a little trick that boat builders do to reinforce this even more when you go to lay it up against the transom. So I'll show you in a second. So now this is the back that's gonna go against the skin of the transom. I've got my drill. I marked it at 1/2 inch. And we're gonna go drilling every 6 inches or so all across the transom. That way the resin, or in this case the lightweight putty we're gonna use to bond to the transom, has something else to stick on. It's not just on the surface. It's gonna dig into those little holes, gonna fill those holes, and you're gonna get a better grip. And there you have it. Let's go ahead and get a test fit. Success. All right, we got a pretty good fit. So now if you notice back here, this is all wobbly, and we need to clamp this transom skin to this actual case cell piece. So there's a couple ways to do this. So I got a 2x6, a 1x6 to get it as far across as I could, and I only used the motor holes here to use these long bolts to go through to squeeze that together. I'm also using these clamps, these heavy duty clamps, and then I'm using these vice clamps here as well to get all the way down to the bottom. To get to the corners, I got these other smaller clamps, and that so this is the dry fit. Cuban ingenuity over here, my dad with this car jack to get the bottom, even though the bottom is pretty tight up in there, but we just squeeze it here and it pushes that bottom part up against the hole. So all right, I came in with the 40 grit, scuffed it up a little bit. It's still tacky. I've laid out all my tools the way I'm gonna use them. Now we're gonna go take out our bonding putty so we can start measuring out. This is the lightweight bonding putty. This is for bedding stringers, piecing, you know, putting pieces together like at the transom. Super high strength and it's very lightweight. These are 16 ounces, more or less. I'm going with about 12 cc's. I like using the pink MEK or the dyed MEK because it lets you know when it's mixed. All right, let's start doing it, Pop. Everything's laid up. This worked out really good. And my dad put in some extra clamps here at the end to squeeze everything down. We have to come in and do the radiuses again because this stuff really moves. So we'll have to like sand that a little bit. I'm really happy with how this came out. This is already strong as, I mean, this thing is solid, solid, solid. Let's get to work. Now I'm gonna wipe down the transom with some acetone so we get our filleting in. Here's that product. It's a vinyl ester putty, a radius putty. It's got the best vinyl ester resin, so it's really strong to be used below the waterline, and it's easy to fare, and it's meant for gap filling, so, and for filleting. So I mean, this is the right product that you want to use. I'm gonna start cutting out my pieces for the skin of the transom. This is the original template that we cut out the K-cell board. This is perfect. I'm gonna make the rest of these guys. The top is gonna be the same when I cut these out, but this part will come over 2 inches, 4 inches, and so on and so forth, all the way up the sides. We'll get 5 layers of glass. We'll see if we do 5 or 6 layers of glass, but soak up the board. I've already wiped everything down with acetone. The K-cell board does soak up a little bit of some of the resin, so we want this to be nice and saturated. When we go lay down our fiberglass, there's a good bond and it doesn't pull from the fiberglass. You can use your glove hand too to help move this stuff around. And start busting some of these bubbles. We are on our final layer of glass. I made all the relief cuts and this is ready. I've already sanded down and ground down, and I cleaned everything with acetone. I've also gone ahead and made my laminates. I cut out the fiberglass for the stringers for the side supports that'll tie into the transom, so these will be ready. It's 3 layers on each side, so I'm going to laminate those as well. This is the final layer. It's going to lock everything in together. This overlaps everything. Alright, now we're going to do the stringers. I'm just going to lay these suckers in here. Alright, we did the final layer. This part was a little bit too long, so I'm going to wait till it cures to grind some of that off. Came out pretty good. Alright, so I got a 1-inch tip. I'm going to do it right around here. I'm not going to do it back here because this kind of goes up and the water pools right around there. So I'm going to make a hole right there. Alright, we got our hole. Alright, I got my putty, and I'm going to use these 2 pieces of PVC I've scuffed up with 80 grit. That's what we're going to use to hold those in place. That's good. So we're getting ready to gel coat the transom. I have my exterior gel coat. This is without wax. I have my wax sanding aid solution over here. We're going to do that on the second coat. My MEK, my roller, and a pan here, and just a measuring cup. So we're going to do 1 coat without wax, and then we'll add wax to the final coat, and let's get going. Just come in with a brush. Alright, not too bad. Putting the final coat of gel coat, but this time we're going to add the sanding aid, the wax. You add 1 ounce per 16 ounces. That's about a cupful. And then we're going to add the MEK, and that's going to let the gel coat fully cure and harden. We're going to paint the back of the transom, and then we're going to gel coat the back of the transom rather. FGCI's dusky white, which matches really close to the original color of the actual transom, and we're just going to roll on a couple coats of gel coat. We're going to roll on maybe 2 or 3 layers, and then we'll do our final layer with some Duratec. Alright, we're going to do, this is coat number 2, and I add some wax to this. I think with 2 coats we're going to be fine. We got a transom prepped, put a couple layers of gel coat on here. I sanded down all the high spots with the 120. and now I've gone with a 320. I did not spend a ton of time fairing this transom for a showroom finish. This is a boat that I'm going to use to bang around. I'm going to beat the crap out of this boat. I'm not looking for it to be a showroom boat. It's going to look nice. It's just not going to be exactly perfect, because if not, I'd be here for weeks trying to get this thing complete. So there are little holes like here. The motor's going to cover that. You're not going to see that. And there's a couple little spots here, like if you could see real close there, you know, that's okay. Yes, I could come back with a filler, but that's just more time, and I want to get this done. If you wanted to do a project like this, you know, you could take all the time that you want to get it done and get it, you know, as pristine as you'd like. But you know, that's not what this is. So yeah, if you're doing a project like this, you want it to look perfect, by all means take your time. The gel coat we're going to use for the transom is going to be this dusky white, which is the closest color that I found to the original boat. It's kind of like a little bit lighter than the original color. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a 50-50 mix of this with Duratec. And what that does, it's a high gloss additive, and it allows the gel coat to shoot like paint. And it's also like a wax additive in that it seals the gel coat and allows it to cure. So let's get to that. The gun I'm using is a Walmec. I got this from FGCI, and I shot with a 3.0 tip, which you can see here. I have it soaking in some acetone, but I shot with a 3.0 tip. I really should have shot with something like a 1.4 or something like that. Because this gel coat, when it's thinned out with the Duratec, it does act like paint. So that's probably why I got some orange peel, but this is what I had, and that's all right. Just got a wet sand and then buff. But yeah, you want to have some acetone on hand so you can leave this stuff here and soak, and then you want to clean out your gun thoroughly so you don't get this clogged up, because once it gets clogged up in there, you're done. Your gun is done. And this is about a $180 gun, which just for shooting gel coat, which is great. And as you can see, it's extremely shiny. All right, so it's the next day, and we're gonna wet sand and we're gonna buff the transom, because we do got some orange peel. That's what you get with gel coat. I'm try to do 500 grit and work my way up to 1,000, 1,500, then we'll buff. All right, so let's get to work. I'm doing a wet sand, a little bit of soap, nice and flat. Wet sand now with I wet sanded with the 1,000. I think I'm just gonna try to buff it, see how it comes out. The final step, we'll just come in with a buffing pad and try to polish this up. Now, since we finished the transom, we're going to put the cap back on the boat, and we're going to reattach it to the gunnels and glass that in. All right, got the cap put on. This is the setup that I got. I use a ratchet strap, 2 ratchet straps to go around the boat, and I used some 1x2s here to hold these together, and I got it matched up pretty perfect. All right, so I got this all lined up here and glassed in from the bottom. As you can see there, we got 3 layers of glass on the bottom, and this actually came out pretty good, nice and lined up. Tape this area up, and then I'm going to pour some gel coat in there, cover that gap up. Well, there we have it. I'm going to come after and just lightly sand it. It should make that line not invisible, but almost seamless. Couldn't take this off. Somebody put 5200. It was impossible to take off, so I went ahead and I sanded all this out I did a 320, then I did a 320, then I did a 600, I did 1,000, and now I did 1,500 wet sand. And I burned out through a couple spots like over here and up here, but it is what it is. It's gonna stay like that. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come and buff this out. This bracket came out all right. We gotta replace it eventually. It's got a couple pits and stuff like that. But that's gonna do for right now. The scuppers are in, the water's flowing out. And we're also gonna come back, and I went over this with 1,500 because I only did 1,000 last time. So I went over this with 1,500, and we're gonna give that a buff as well and get this to get some shine, and we should be done with the transom. I think this is acceptable for me, and I think it came out okay. It's got a nice shine to it. It'll give it a nice little look. Rub rails back on. And the transom, I came in and polished that up too. And we got a nice shine to that. It's not perfect, but I think it's acceptable. So this is my first time doing a composite transom with a composite board, and overall I think it came out pretty great. If you want to see how I did the deck of this boat, if you want to see the rest of this build, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.